Hello, and welcome back. Yes, it's Stan the Woodsman, back again. And yes, I'm sitting down, and yes, I look sweaty because, man, it is hot here. I mean, really hot. So, I'm taking a break on the log here, and this is a good spot to point out some of the native plants that I've been finding since I cleared out the honeysuckle. But one thing you got to understand is with honeysuckle, it's not a one and done thing. So I learned that in 2009 down the Licking River, on the Licking River Greenway and trails, that after about 5 years, a lot of it started coming back. This section I'm in right now is the original section I started. And I'll show you the indigenous river cane is what attracted me up here. I was harvesting that river cane. They put it along the riverbank for soil conservation, hold the riverbank, because it's got a really good root system and it's perfect for that. And it was looking kind of scraggly. And I told the head forester, Jason, I said, man, this stuff's looking not so healthy. He goes, what's the issue? I said, honeysuckle choking out. He goes, well, you want to do something about it? I said, sure. So anyway, that one thing, he supplies everything. And I started there 3 years ago, and along this creek, along the base of, I'm on the wrong side here, on the base, it runs along the road here, along the base of this hillside. And the river cane grows up along the creek, where I'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, so I cleared that out, and I realized, man, this whole area is overgrown with honeysuckle. It'd be nice to be able to walk on the hillside. So anyway, one thing led to another, and I decided to clear the whole hillside. So boom, here we are. But anyway, one of the things I've noticed is once the honeysuckle's gone, native stuff starts popping up. And up on this site particularly, it's really starting to take off with spicebush and hickories. And that's a hickory tree right in front of us here. I believe that's a pig nut hickory, or what's the other? Bitter nut hickory. I'm not sure of the variations, but it's not shagbark. I know shagbark, but I'm finding a lot of hickory seedlings. I mean, lots of them. One thing I did not find, and I was kind of disappointed, was because I put out a bunch of seed for red buds, and I only found a couple of them. But sometimes what they say on the internet is supposed to germinate 1 year is not always true. They may come in next year. That's what I'm hoping. Or, I mean, it might not be sunny enough down along this creek. I don't know. Now, the sun does factor in on some other plants. I noticed that there's not a whole lot of oak seedlings, and I think that's because they need some sun, and there's not much sun. This kind of gives me the feel of an old woods, almost old growth, but it's not quite that old. But this whole area up here is relatively young. I'm talking 1900s. The Devou family donated like 600 acres to Covington for parks, recreation, with a bunch of stipulations on the deeds. And this is one section of it. It's on the backside of everything. They probably used this as pasture for the up until like 1940s. They donated, and the city, once the city took control, they probably left it as pasture for a long time, open parkland. And then there was a few trees up here, which you can spot them because they got a big canopy on them in the middle of the woods, and there's nothing, and it's the only trees with canopy, and they're older. So then around, I don't know, in the 60s or 70s, 80s, they started mowing, and then the honeysuckle moved in somewhere in the 80s. And so once the honeysuckle moved in, all native plants ceased to stop. They stopped repopulating. No more native oaks and hickories because they choked everything out. So what I'm seeing here is a ton of spice bushes, a ton of hickories, and I'm going to point them out for you. And there was also a lot of what's the other ones? Buckeyes, which up on the hillside there's a couple huge buckeye trees that are kind of pretty well established. So these variations, I'm going to flip the camera around, pause for a second, and I'm going to point out some plants. Okay, so I got my pointer stick here, get the right end of the point. Okay, so this guy is a spice bush. And this guy, I believe, is a spice bush. This is a baby honeysuckle, which that's another reason why I marked everything. It's not for vanity. I mean, the guys on forestry joke, well, we can tell what Stan's been. He's left a trail of orange ribbons. Well, that's true. But like I said, it's not a one and done on this honeysuckle. You got to keep coming back. So when I mark these native seedlings, like this guy right here is a hickory. See the orange ribbon. This guy over here is a hickory. Let's walk over here. Hickory, oak, spice bush, big spice bush, and the big bushes you see are spice bush. This big one is spice bush. This is spice bush. Hickory. Look, there's an old ribbon fella. Well, that came off that guy. He's missing his ribbon. Sorry, dude. We'll get you later. Spice bush, hickory. Oh, I hate being in the sun. It's hot in the sun. Hickory, but that almost looks like it could. The difference is, see the serenade edges on that? That's a hickory. This here looks kind of like a hickory, but it's not. That's either a green or a white ash. Ash trees will grow up to about, I don't know, 20 years old, then the ash borer will probably take them out. But they're a good cover tree. So this area here was all recently removed of the honeysuckle. You can kind of see the stumps. See the hickories popping out. 3 years ago, let me backtrack. 3 years ago, a lot of the big stuff was removed. I recently came back and recut some of the stuff, like this smaller stuff that I missed. And so in that 3-year period, this is from a 3-year period. You get native plants like these hickories popping up. There's a big hickory, and that is not a shagbark. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a big hickory. And this here is an oak. And this is one of my favorite trees up here. How can you not love this guy? Look at this guy over here. Straight and tall, both of them. That's a buckeye. No, that's a, okay. Shagbark hickory. See, shagbark. Let me look at this thing. I believe, I can't really tell because it's got that Virginia creeper running up it, and the leaves are so high up. I think it's a hickory. It's got the leaves of hickory, but the problem is hickory and buckeyes kind of look the same from a distance. This is a bur oak. I know that for sure because I collected bur oak acorns from here. Look at that guy. Look how it goes up. And there's that shagbark hickory. So you have a combination of shagbark hickory seedlings, and the other ones is the bitter nut or pig nut seedlings. But they're all good. They got a long life. They can live for a long time, and they get the deep rooted. So that's a big factor. Control, so erosion control and all that. So now what you're seeing is the beginning of the indigenous river cane. And this is in the bamboo family, but an important key fact is it is not bamboo. It's safe to plant, although, I mean, if you try to buy it in a nursery, it's super expensive. It's in the 3% critically endangered list, so that was another reason why I attracted to it. Okay, I talked about half of when I missed spots. Here's one I missed. This is honeysuckle bush. Now you can kind of see between, the leaves are smaller than spicebush. But sometimes, you have to be careful when you start, wielding the chainsaw that you're not cutting down spicebush. If you do cut down spicebush, as long as you don't spray it, it'll come back. So, well, I guess that's about it for today. I just wanted to show you. I'm pausing my activities until this heat wave passes. I'm supposed to bust 100 today. Today's July 3rd. Tomorrow's the 4th. So I worked Monday and Tuesday, and I spent that entire time in the shade. And on Tuesday, man, it was brutal. I mean, it's nasty. And, I started feeling some of the, that's a spice bush. I thought it was a hickory down here. See how from a distance, it almost looks like a hickory. But, so anyway, I was feeling getting kind of woozy, so I called it. I did my 2 tanks of gas, and that was it. And I didn't do any cutting the rest of the week. And I'm not going to do any cutting until this heat wave goes past. So I thought today'd be a good day to shoot a video. There's the road right there. I'm trying to catch, there goes the car. So right there is the creek. I'm just trying to give you the bearings here. And there's that is definitely a hickory tree. That's why there's so many seedlings up there. I didn't realize that was a hickory tree until I looked up at it today. Learn something new every day. That's my motto, folks. I'm happy you guys are here, and I'm happy to share this. And this, key thing with life, try to learn something new every day. Keep your mind open and your eyes open. You never know what you're going to see or experience it. All right. It was great talking to you. I'll leave you go with a picture of my favorite tree, this bur oak. Adios amigos. Catch you on the rebound.